Lisa. I set a boundary with my narcissistic mom and now my siblings won't talk to me. My narc mom has cut me out of her will. I feel so alone. Is there any science behind this and what can I do? So today we're going to be talking about the daughter of a narcissistic mom who set a boundary with her mom, who is now being punished for setting a boundary. Ha ha ha, doesn't that sound so familiar? Have you ever set a boundary with someone and been punished for setting a boundary? I know I have, so let's talk about it. So this YouTube viewer is asking me, is there any science behind setting a boundary with someone and having them punish you, and even the siblings taking part in the punishment as it relates to having a narcissistic mother, right? Absolutely. So when we have a narcissistic parent, very oftentimes we have flying monkeys as siblings. We also have triangulation, where the parents are going out of their way to triangulate the children against one another. And I think this is one of the saddest things that happens in a narc family, because it debilitates the siblings' ability to get along. Even in my own family, I love my brother and my sister, but you know what? Since my brother and my sister were small, especially between my brother and I, my mother, God rest her soul, would triangulate with my brother against me. What they do is, behind closed doors, they're talking poorly about one child with another child. Now what ends up happening is, now this creates a situation where the child who's being chosen as the flying monkey has an opportunity to bond and seek validation with narcissistic mommy, right? So this reinforces the bond that the child naturally needs with mom, and the child who's being abused this way and groomed this way to be a flying monkey is not aware of what's going on. So at the same time, there is a child, the scapegoated child in the family, that is being outed by not only mom, but other siblings, because who wants to go against the big bad wolf, right? Nobody. Everybody wants to be in the company and in the graces of the big bad wolf, except the person who's been outed from the family, except the scapegoat who has been identified as the problem, right? So the child that's been identified as the problem child is the child that the entire dysfunctional family projects their dysfunction upon. You see it all the time. So the child that is emotionally honest, the child that is struggling with addiction, perhaps, this child who is getting into trouble, everybody's staring at this child getting into trouble. But God forbid we look within and we identify how we have outed this child, made this child feel alone, right? And how the parents have triangulated the children against this one child. And God forbid we look at the problems of the parents. Happens all the time. And you know what? It happens in families where you don't even believe it could happen. In the families that look the best, right? The parents that look like they've got their crap together. Meanwhile, this is going on. In this YouTube viewer's situation, she's beginning to feel alone. She's been outed from the will. The siblings aren't talking to her. This is classic narcissistic family behavior. It's like a gang mentality, right? So I've had clients in similar situations. Now, the science behind feeling alone is absolutely valid. We're talking about abandonment trauma. We're talking about a narcissistic mom who was unable to create a nurturing bond with her child. And children feel that for the rest of their lives. And that sets them up for codependency, low self-worth, feeling unworthy, and not feeling good enough, right? All that juicy stuff that we have to deal with as adults, right? And because we're unconscious, we don't even realize that it goes back to our childhood. Whatever, okay? Getting back to the YouTube viewer. So now she's asking a pretty cool question, is there science behind me feeling so alone? Yes, this is abandonment trauma, and this is a trigger. And you, the psychological self that you know, the inner child in you, knows that you're being abandoned. And because and it's created this hole inside of you, right? Those of us who have been abused by alcoholic parents, narcissistic parents, whatever, been shifted around in foster care, many times when children are adopted out and there's been a disconnect between the natural biological mother and the natural biological family, we can experience these things, this hole in ourselves. It's not our fault. It's natural. Our connection to the mothership has been interrupted, okay? It's not our fault that we leak this energy for attachment the rest of our lives and we end up below the veil of consciousness like half the world or most of the world, and we recreate these patterns. This is karma. Karma is cause and effect, and we can get ourselves off this karmic wheel, but not until we become conscious of what's really happening. Hello, 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 hello. So now the science is abandonment trauma. You're being triggered. Now what can you do about it? in a nutshell, we have to accept what we can't change, right? So my 1, 2, 3 process, I have videos on the 1, 2, 3 process that you can look on my YouTube channel. But in a nutshell, it looks like this. You have to accept what you cannot control. You also have to accept how you feel. Your feelings are valid, right? Enough with shaming victims and, oh, you're playing the victim. Oh my God. Would we tell someone who was sexually abused that they were playing the victim? Okay. So we have to grow up in the world, right? And understand that people who have emotional pain, that are talking about how they feel, are not playing the victim. There's been abuse there. Psychological abuse is real, okay? And those of us who are brave enough to talk about it are just looking for an opportunity to heal it and get over it, all right? This is part of the process, talking about how we feel. Just saying, okay? I develop processes and systems of change to help that person who wants to heal understand the science behind it, understand the neurology behind it, the chemistry behind it, and the psychology behind it so that you can heal. So you have to understand, dear one, that this hole is here, that this abandonment trauma has been triggered. And mom has done a very poor job at filling it. And unfortunately, throughout your life, she has actually helped to dig the hole deeper. That is not your fault. Accept that the hole is there, okay? Accept how you feel. You feel abandoned. Hello, abandonment. You are being abandoned. Your entire family is turning their back on you because of the big bad wolf, and they don't want to be out of her grace. Accept it. That is literally how you feel. What we do wrong is I call it layering, although it's not a psychological term. One day maybe it will be, but when we layer how we feel, I feel abandoned, but I don't want to feel abandoned, but I do feel abandoned. Oh, damn, I don't want to feel abandoned. I feel abandoned. I hate that I feel abandoned. I feel abandoned. I feel so depressed that I'm abandoned. No, just allow yourself to feel abandoned. That's pretty hard to do. We're trying to learn how to stay in our body while we feel a painful emotion. Okay? That's the crux to learning how to heal. That's the crux of moving our consciousness forward. Pretty amazing when you learn the power of accepting how you feel. When you develop empathy for yourself, which, by the way, dear one, is what you always needed. Empathy from a divine mother and a divine father energy so that you could process how you feel, so you didn't have to dissociate and develop all sorts of cockamamie beliefs about how you feel. I'm not good enough, whatever, okay? Accept how you feel. Feel your feelings in your body. Identify where you feel them. Then you have to make a decision. You have to ask yourself, what can I control about this situation? What can I not control about this situation? And what decision, what action step, this is an action-based universe. You can't get stuck in the emotional realm. You have to take action, right? They have to be positive and affirming actions that help move you forward. Otherwise, you stay in neutral and sometimes in spiritual reverse and vibrational reverse. In terms of what's happening in the matrix, you stay stuck in a negative mirror. You stay stuck in a negative reflection. You end up recreating this abandonment in future relationships. No bueno. You're too beautiful and too magnificent and too divine to live an unconscious life. Let's kick you out of that mirror, okay? Third step, you've got to make a decision, dear one. Can you control that mama cut you out of the will? No. Can you continue to focus on that? Yeah. Does that help you? No. What can you do? Pretend there was no will. Pretend there is no mama. Pretend there are no siblings and get on with your life. Accept how you feel. Know that they are abandoning you and put that in a box and say, it is what it is, but I can't control that and I'm going to do this, okay? When I got divorced, my parents moved to Pennsylvania, okay? Left me in New York with 3 children, single mom with no job, by the way, with an ex-husband who was hell-bent on destroying me. For 7 years, he hunted me down. And about 7 years later, he actually admitted to me, it was my intention to destroy you because I thought you'd come back to me. Oh yeah, that's genius logic if you ask me, right? Genius, hello. All it did was make me stronger. It made me say, okay, you're not around and you're doing this to me, watch me fly. And I focused on getting certified. I became a personal trainer. I became a certified sports nutritionist. I found ways to make money. I began cleaning houses. I sold tents for a while. I had 3 jobs and I worked 7 days a week. You know why? I didn't want anybody controlling me. And here I am today. I finished my first book, then I finished 5 more. All became best-selling books. I'm not bragging. What I'm trying to tell you is that when I stopped focusing on the crap I couldn't control, and I started focusing on the stuff I could control, and I aligned with my divine energy and my purpose, which is empowered you to awaken and live above the veil of consciousness, because that's your right. When I aligned with that, my life began to take off. I got out of neutral and I stopped going in reverse. And I want the same thing for you. You know why? Because you deserve it. All of us deserve it, but we have to awaken from the mirror. We have to awaken from living below the veil. We have to awaken to our truth. Yes, if you've been abandoned, you've been abandoned. And the sooner you accept that and really, really feel it in your body and process those emotions and focusing on what you can control, the sooner your life will accelerate off in an entirely new direction, because you do have the ability to be the master of your reality. But here's the thing. You have to find the field of potential that is within you, okay? And the field of potential can only be found when you let go of focusing on what you can't control. Because when you focus on what you can't control, you keep yourself in neurological loops of dysfunction. The field of potential exists between each synapse, and you have to interrupt the old patterns to find that synapse or that field of potential so that you can become the master of a future desired reality. I hope that that moment starts now. My name is Lisa A. Romano. I'm the Breakthrough Life Coach and best-selling author. I have my own podcast, and I also am one of the most listened to meditation teachers on Insight Timer, and I hope you take advantage of that, because it's all about raising our consciousness, becoming more aware, and reprogramming ourselves from this dysfunctional stuff that we learned when we were kids, right? I'm also the creator of the 12-week Breakthrough Coaching Program. I take people who opt in to join the class on a 3-month journey, my team and I, and we help them awaken. We help people ascend. We teach valuable life skills. We have daily support on Facebook and inside the website. We're there making sure that everybody's okay and they're learning these concepts and they're putting them into action. And it's absolutely brilliant. Over 1,000 people have taken part in this program. And overwhelmingly, the breakthroughs are just incredible, right? If you want to check out those testimonials, you can. You can check my YouTube channel for that or go to my website. So my next class is already being registered for. People are already registering. I'm really, really excited. And I hope to see many of you there soon. If you're interested in Law of Attraction, I also have a masterclass for that. You can also register for that today too. So I hope to see many of you there. And listen, dear ones, you have a right to live above the veil. You have a right to love yourself. You have a right to set boundaries. You have a right to walk away from people who drain you. You absolutely do. You have a right to feel your feelings, and you have a right to feel valid and become the person that you were always meant to be. I hope that starts today. Namaste. Bye for now.